I'm still single because I love to chew loud shit with my mouth open. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. If not, welcome back. I started this vlog to share with you all of my sad, embarrassing, mostly traumatic experiences in my adult life. There are reasons why I'm absolutely sure that I'm still single. If you need a little bit more background than that, you can check out my YouTube page, Donners1. And if you're too lazy to do that or have already been through that mess, let's just get back into it. So, this is one of my more embarrassing stories of my recent life in Florida. If you've already watched chapter 1, you're probably wondering, what is more embarrassing than taking 15 minutes and telling people about how you peed in the bathroom sink? Just wait, this is about to get way worse than that ever was. As most of you already know, I write for a living, which has its own consequences, but one of the advantages is being able to use histrionics to tell my tale. Don't you feel all smart and wise and warm on the inside now with your big word knowledge? Don't ever say I didn't teach you anything. So I paid my once yearly visit to the gynecologist. Now, boys, don't worry. I'm not really into girl speak and getting really graphic and all that gross stuff, so that's as bad as it'll get, promise. Despite what you may think, my doctor is not only a woman, but actually really cool. So she is literally joking with me the whole time that she's violating all of my holes, and I'm laughing and actually having a good time. So after my exam, which was, as you can expect, just as mortifying as anyone has ever told you it would be, my girly doctor grabs this giant fistful of condoms from the jar on her counter and hands them out to me. I don't need those. You might one day. No, I'm pretty sure I won't. Well, you should be prepared for anything that comes your way. That's why I have a gun. Just take them. You never know. You might meet a nice boy tomorrow. We went back and forth like that for a while, and I could absolutely not convince this woman that I didn't need a fistful of free condoms. So, whatever. Just to get out of there, I let her shove them in my purse. Now, I leave the office, and I'm way more mortified than I was with my feet in the air with her stabbing me with gross things. Partly because my doctor didn't accept the fact that I don't need a fistful of condoms because I'm single. But thank you for pointing that out and making me feel even worse about that. So as I'm driving home, I realize I can't exactly just throw these things out the window, and I don't have a trash bag in my car, and I don't want to leave them in my purse. So I opened the center console and just kind of crammed them in there. I mean, I don't want to forget they're in my purse and have like the whole wad fall out on the counter while I'm reaching for my checkbook to write out my tithing at church. So I think this is the best plan. And I went home from there. I kind of put this traumatic experience out of my mind. I went home. I headed out to cover one of my assignments for work. Went back to the office, and it was just a bad night for everybody at the office that night. And so after we closed the paper, a few of the guys on the desk invited me to go out and have a drink. I grew up in a farm community called Jimtown, about 1,300 miles north of Florida. It's the kind of place that has one stoplight and a McDonald's, and the kind of place, a true story, we used to dress up in Carhartts and drive our snowmobiles on the river to go to the bar in the wintertime because we didn't have to mess with the roads, and nobody thought that was weird. So now that I've created that lovely mental picture for you, it was necessary for you to understand the trauma that I face when I get invited to go out downtown, down here. You know, every street is a one-way, and it's always the wrong way from which you're trying to go, and they don't have one way this way and one way that way and opposite blocks, and it's just a mess. And I freak out because I'm used to sharing the two-lane road with a tractor in the dirt and the gravel. But I'm stubborn, so on that night, when I say I'll go to the bar, I get kind of sketchy directions from one of the guys, and I leave not long after they do to go get a drink. I get over some kind of large bridge thing that dumps me downtown, and off to my left, about a block away, I see the neon lights, so I'm all excited because that's where I'm trying to go, and it doesn't look very far. It's only a block away, about And I say about because I never actually figured out how to get there on my own. So I'm lost. Instead, I'm too proud to call my friends because I'm kind of like a guy on the inside anyway, which is a separate trauma that will probably be discussed in a soon chapter. So I set out trying to decipher these damn one ways in a pattern that will eventually like get me to the bar. So if you can imagine like a mouse with cheese in the maze, and that's kind of what I felt like with the beer being my cheese, if that makes any sense. I honestly did drive around the same 2 blocks in the exact same pattern about 4 times before the police sitting on the corner decided to pull me over. At that point, I'm kind of relieved because I'm thinking, oh, I'm coming right from work. The only law I could have broken was like being an idiot and growing up in a small town and being unable to figure out one ways. So I don't think there's a ticket for that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I pull on the shoulder and a woman gets out. I'm thinking, perfect, as a woman, she's also directionally challenged, so she's probably going to be, able to help me and minimize the damage to my ego. She gets out, she walks up to my car, and she's looking all cute and professional with her little gun and her badge thing, and I'm thinking, oh, like she was just a little hamster I wanted to put in my pocket and maybe feed grapes as a pet. She comes up to the window and says, do you know why I pulled you over? And I, don't think for a second I didn't think because you're an asshole, but I smile and I give her the like woman-to-woman look, and just tell her that I'm trying to find this certain bar. My buddies are there. I haven't been down here before, and I'm an idiot, and can she help me? And I tell her I just left work, and I can't seem to unfuddle myself through these roads. And she smiles, and she goes, yeah, I understand it's got to be tough, learning your way around new places, but your license plate light is burned out. I'm like, well, fuck. I didn't even know my license plate had a light on it. So I ask her if I can get out and she can show me where this light is. And I pretend to be helpless. Where can I go to get this fixed? And I hope it's not expensive or whatever. And I squeak in my very best, like, I can't do anything for myself voice. She not only tells me the car store to go to, she says that if I play dumb, they'll also put it in for me for free. Like, I've lived 30 years on this earth without learning how to replace a light bulb. Come on, bitch. Anyway, so I take her advice because I want to get going because I've already been pulled over for like 15 minutes and we're just shoring up our business. I promise I'll get the light fixed. She's smiling. She turns away, and then another police car pulls up behind hers, and then behind him pulls up some kind of SUV with the canine thing on the side. Now I know what you're thinking. I got busted for drugs! But I assure you, as cracked out and as incoherent as I sound on here, and probably even in real life, drugs just aren't my thing. I am bad enough without any kind of illegal medicinal aid. I'm assuming at this point that these people are just checking on their female cop type friend, and I'm leaning up against the driver's side door of my car when these two incredibly gorgeous policemen approach what is turning out to be some kind of party on the shoulder of the road. And the lady explains to my little new sex gods what's going on, and the less hot of the two guys comes up to me to confirm, I suppose. And I'm thinking, perfect, I don't have to be nervous or embarrassed because he's not nearly as hot as his partner. So I figure I can relax my way through this. And nice as can be, he explains that because of a recent drug problem in the area, the police are now required to ask each person they pull over if he or she would allow them to search their car. He says okay. He turns around, waves to his oh so sexy partner who lets the dogs out. No, really, he really did let the dogs out. After the dogs are done sniffing around, they go to the trunk and they go to my back seat and the front seat. Everything's cool. They weren't going to find anything, so I figure I'm free to go. No, Mr. Dreamy Eyes comes back from putting his little furry police officer partner things in the car, and he starts poking through my trunk. And he doesn't find anything there, obviously, so he goes in the back seat, he moves to the front seat, and the whole time, I'm joking with the lady cop and Mr. Less Sexy about how I'm hoping Detective Hot Buns can vacuum out the floor while he's in the back seat. The three of us are just laughing and having this grand old time. until my peripheral vision suggests that I'd probably like to watch Mr. Dreamy bend over the front seat of my car. And then it hits me. He's reaching for the center console. I managed to interrupt all conversation that we were having to scream, "No!" And I run to the car and grab his arm just as he's lifting the lid. And I stammer out some blabber excuse about personal items and please don't look in there and tampons and oh God no. And I just incoherent psychobabble blah, hoping that it'll distract him from what he was doing. And he just shrugged and he's like, "I'm sorry, ma'am. You gave us permission to search. I need to look everywhere." I'm in the middle of my completely inadequate explanation of what's going on to the two on the curb when I chance a glance back to the driver's seat of my car and see the back of my future husband, and his shoulders are just shaking with laughter. If that wasn't bad enough, he pulled out the entire wad of condoms, like tick, 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 accordion style, because they were all still stuck together in whatever, kind of waves them at me. And, with one of his perfectly waxed, sexiest cop I've ever seen in my life, eyebrows just kind of went up like, "What are these for?" And right then, I died. No, really, I collapsed on the curb and just prayed for God to either give me some kind of aneurysm or let a rogue semi jump the curb and squish me into oblivion and end my miserable life because I just couldn't see myself living through this. Okay, not really. But I did shrug my shoulders, figuring that nobody wanted to hear the story of Dawn, the speculum, and the pushy doctor. I blurted out something like, "Okay, you got me. I'm a hooker. I wasn't lost when I was circling the block. I'm lazy. I know I'm supposed to walk the streets, but my feet hurt tonight, and I figured I could just car walk instead." Hey, what would you have said? Because carrying an arsenal of condoms large enough to have sex with the greater Bay Area isn't actually a crime, just a really poor sign of what an unintentional whore I apparently am. They had to let me go. And of course, they're giggling and snorting and copying the whole time. And the policewoman kind of looked back at me and kind of smiled because she knew that as soon as her friends got back to the police station, everybody they know would hear about this. And it's a small town. I'm probably going to run into somebody that heard the story about me being a whore. So I walk like the final walk of shame, the 15 feet back to my car. My head's down, my tail's between my legs. I just want to get out of there as soon as possible. And now I really need a beer. What did I do to deserve this? Really? Nothing. I don't ever do anything to deserve the shit that I get. I promise you that. I walked into the bar, 40 minutes late. My friends are sitting there waiting for me. So, of course, I have to tell them. And they're just laughing their asses off because what would you do but laugh? And they offered to pay my tab, so I win. Everything's better now because that's how you get to a writer's heart, is to buy her alcohol and make her feel better, which the first one does. Anyway, about 20 minutes before the bar closes, I get a tap on my shoulder, and it was the hot cop in the flesh with his street clothes on. And I don't really know how to react to this. And he offers up some kind of lame, like, "You've had a rough night," or "You look like you've had a rough night." And I have to laugh because it was the stupidest line I've ever heard in my life. But at least he wasn't trying to handcuff me or talk about condoms or sex with condoms. So we end up having a good time until the bar closes, and then he says something as we're walking out, like he would like to take me out to dinner sometime. No, I said no. I did, because I was so certain at that moment that I was just head over heels in love with the most gorgeous man I've ever seen in my life, that from there we were going to have one date, move in together, get married, have babies, buy a house, get a dog, and maybe plant some of those pink flower bushes outside that domestic types have, and live happily ever after in bliss. That I could already feel myself dreading the moment one of our asshole children says those awful words, "Mommy, how did you meet Daddy?" And that, my friends, is just one more reason why I'm still single.